Good morning, everybody. First penned in 1887, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's iconic character Sherlock Holmes lives on. In recent years, there have been 2 Sherlock Holmes feature films starring Robert Downey Jr. and premiering tonight on Global, the new series Elementary starring Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu. Take a look.
Holmes. How are you doing?
It's Captain Gregson. Captain Gregson, this is Miss Watson, my personal valet.
How do you do? She waits out here.
I'm afraid she's quite crucial to my process, Captain.
It's okay, really.
Actually, it isn't. At least, not according to my father's email.
What?
He explained it's the job of a proper valet to accompany his or her charge to their place of business. Well, consider this my place of business. Consider every wretched hive of depravity and murder in this city my place of business.
And joining us now is Mary Ray Shantz. She's the manager of Special Collections, Archives and Digital Collections at the Toronto Public Library, and Ed Baraveld, who is the producer of The Real Sherlock Holmes, which airs on History.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Welcome.
Thanks.
Can we clear something up right away?
Sure.
I don't think Sherlock Holmes ever said, "Elementary, my dear Watson."
I think you're quite right.
In any of those,
No.
what was it, 4 novels and 56 stories? Or
Correct. He never said that. But it is still fun to say it anyway. So.
And we should point out that you're here because the library, the reference library, has, is this right, the biggest collection of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's work outside of London or outside of England?
Yes, it is. We have the largest publicly available collection in the world, so that means anybody can come in at any time and consult all of the stuff that we have. It's a huge Sherlock collection, but also other things that Arthur Conan Doyle was involved in, from you know, spiritualism, World War I, the Boer War he wrote a history of. He wrote lots of historical fiction that he was quite proud of. And
how did we come to have this? How did you come to have this?
in the, well, how did you? It's the City of Toronto.
The City of Toronto, right.
It's there for everybody. In the late 60s, the library acquired a small collection of Sherlock Holmes material, and there were a core of enthusiasts, and from that we built it. And in 1971, we opened the collection to the public and acquired 2 large collections by collectors Mortlake and Bigelow, who had very large collections. And from that core, we've grown to acquire anything written about or by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, anything that supports the study of Victorian era, and a lot of fun stuff, like things you might find in the Victorian era, like the gasogene, which is, you know, how you make seltzer in the good old days.
That's right. Ed, to what do you attribute the longevity of this?
Well, I think it's the character. I think it's the combination. Actually, the combo of Sherlock and Dr. Watson, I think, is what makes it interesting. Because Sherlock is detached and almost psychopathic, really.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Watson is more like you and I kind of thing. And you know, Watson lives in the greatness of Sherlock Holmes, but I don't think either one could exist without the other. And I think that's what makes it so enduringly lasting.
So it's this great symbiotic relationship
Totally.
that just seems to go from generation to generation to generation.
It never stops, really, and I think we can all relate to that because we all sort of look towards greatness, and we seldom reach that. So if we're in the shadow of somebody like that, it's good enough for most of us.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, though, was such a brilliant writer and came up with such exceptional ideas that they are things that inspired or pre-imagined, if you would, things that are happening today.
Well, he was way ahead on the curve on a whole bunch of things. I mean, mostly forensics, of course, because he would look at ballistics, he would look at handwriting, he would actually look at blood types. And this is way before these things became common in police work,
right.
really.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't this character based on, wasn't there a real life person at a hospital or a lab that he based this
There was,
on?
I think it was his teacher, Dr. Joseph Bell, who was an inspiration for Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes.
And he was able to make small observations and then kind of expand them into larger
I think the whole sort of idea was that you look at the facts at hand, you analyze those, and based on the facts you make a deduction. Of course, before they would just sort of pull it out of their head kind of thing.
Doyle himself was meticulous at scribbling down little research notes everywhere, everything, any conversation or snippet of conversation he would jot down. And we have been able to acquire many of these books, and we can see things. We recently acquired a manuscript that showed the drawing of the dancing men that appears in one of the stories, anything like that. And
So you see it in Doyle. Doyle is Holmes, just like Ian Fleming, really, in a way, was James Bond.
Yeah.
In his mind's eye.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. But he had to invent Dr. Watson to make himself human. So.
Right, which was also sort of a stroke of brilliance as well. Have you read through?
The
Can you
entire
read through
canon?
everything that's there?
I have not read through them all, but I'm certainly working my way through them. My family has all read them, and I'm aware of all the stories and the plot lines, but I have to admit, it's a lot of reading.
Well, that's a lot of it, especially when you've got what you've got up there. But is there anything in particular that jumps out to you about the character or about the writing that impresses you and makes you, you know, not surprised that it's lasted so long?
It's very difficult to say what is it that makes him such an enduring character. The type of fiction that it was, serialized fiction that's developed at a time when people start to take the subway or the tram out of London, and the anticipation of what's going to happen next. I think that probably captured people's imagination. But the character, like somebody who's always ahead of everybody all the time, is always smart, that everyone seems to respect.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there is something about that, though. You make a good point that you love to associate yourself with that guy who just knows a little bit more
Smarter
than
than
everyone
the
else.
average bear.
Yeah.
He's like MacGyver. He's like Columbo.
That's right. That's right. He was the precursor. Well, let me remind everybody again that the real Sherlock Holmes airs tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
on,
night on
History
History.
at 9 o'clock.
And Elementary premieres tonight at 10 p.m. on Global. And Mary, if people are interested in viewing this collection, can they do that? Do you have to make an
Absolutely.
appointment?
They don't need to make an appointment. They can come to the library anytime, and all of the materials are available. The materials themselves are warehoused in a room that emulates Sherlock Holmes' study, and it's a browsable collection. Now we're reconstructing an entirely new special collections, which will open, the Marilyn and Charles Bailey Special Collections Center will open in 2013. But that Victorian study is still going to be there, and you can browse all of the original materials in their original form. You can see the manuscripts that Doyle wrote, his own photographs. You don't have to wear a deerstalker, but we do have them there in the room, and it will again have that Victorian look and feel.
Well, the little treasures that are hidden in this city. And
We also do
It's nice, but you can't
displays.
smoke it.
We do exhibits in our gallery, and opening just in time for Sherlock Holmes' birthday, which is January 6th, we have an exhibit in our gallery on the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, so people can get like a full diet of it in one.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll come down to a story.
That would be fantastic.
That's a very good idea.
Sounds like a good idea.
Mary Ray Sean, she's the manager of special collections, archives, and digital collections at the Toronto Public Library. And Ed Baraveld, he is the producer of The Real Sherlock Holmes. Nice having you here. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
Thank you so much.
10 to 8, we're going to be right back.